So, hello, community. This is Tonancine from Houston, H-Town. And today our guest is Manuel Rocha Jr. from California. Él es un poeta y un danzante azteca. He's a poet and an Aztec dancer. And before we get into this charla, this plática, I would like for Manuel to gift us with one of his poems. Y gracias again for being with us, Manuel.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. So I would love to read one of my flower poems, also known as flower songs, from my book, The Pain of a Warrior. And this first flower song is called Towards This Place. You can hear me? We're good?
Yes. Sí te escucho. Mm-hmm.
So, towards this place. This place sometimes has no exit. It is gray. Then when the flesh resides there, the underworld of their society, you and I suffer the consequences, becoming impregnated with emptiness. Towards this place, duck-like birds flee with feathers spread. The ancestors have arrived, so follow them from here through there. With my childlike necklace made of palm, I go. There is treasure here, they sing. The birds offer a fan made of beautiful feathers. Carry it towards our bond. Friendship in this manner becomes life, a stalk of corn, a single spirit. Towards this place, we shall sing until we are old spirits, until blood is drawn by life and we are empty. The emptiness can only be healed if pride in oneself can take the place of it.
Eso, Tlaxcamati, hermano. Thank you for your palabra.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes. This is how we met.
It is.
This is how we met. It's through the palabra, the written word. Y te tengo que decir, hermano, like, you know, as a fellow poeta, an indigenous poeta, when I saw your live, I saw a live video that you shared of you doing La Palabra. Y al estilo como tú lo haces, you know, that's what caught my attention.
Yeah.
And of course, after I saw how you carry yourself, you know, you're proud of your identity, ¿no?
Oh, yeah.
And y conozco muchos poetas y todos tienen sus estilos. And so I was like, wow, he really has a strong presence. I need to get that book. And I, como guerrera, I think I understand the title of your book, The Pain of a Warrior. But you tell us after I read your biography, okay?
Yes, please. Yeah.
I'm getting all excited here. Bueno. So, gente, mi comunidad, let me tell you a little bit of Manuel. Let me tell you who he is, what he is about, and why I wanted to invite him on this platform para que la comunidad lo escuche. And so, Manuel Rocha Jr. composes flower poems, a tradition style of Nahuatl poetry, also known as floricanto. In 2022, he published The Pain of a Warrior, the first book in a projected 4-volume cycle, which was honored at the 2022 Latino Book Awards. At his reading, Rocha, also known as Two Captive Warrior, has been previewing experts from the soon-to-be-published second volume, as well as sharing the thoughts, dreams, prayers, and research that went into the creation of his work. Rocha was raised in Morgan Hill, California, and is a father of 4 children, an Aztec dancer for a number of years. Rocha is also a longtime member of Presidential Medal of Arts recipient Luis Valdez, El Teatro Campesino de Aztlán, which is based in San Juan Bautista. Rocha studied Mesoamerican music, history, and philosophy under Noe Yaocolt Montoya until the maestro's death in 2021. Qué hermoso, qué bonito.
Thank you.
I always say, you know, our people are we are so gifted. Tenemos más de un regalo. We have more than one gift.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so tell me about your maestro.
So Maestro Noe Yacoa Montoya, he joined El Teatro Campesino at the age of about 16, at that time being the youngest member. And then El Teatro Campesino came about when the Filipinos were trying to unionize as farm workers, at the same time wanting the Mexican immigrants to unionize with them. The biggest thing was that the communication barrier that there was.
Yes.
So Luis Valdez, the artistic founder of El Teatro Campesino, was a migrant worker, came from migrant worker family, and so he used to work in the fields. So as he grew and developed this talent of writing plays and acting and stuff like that, they would use these tools to go into the fields and with satire able to show the farm workers, this is how you're being mistreated. This is what you're not getting or receiving. So they would do it like actos, and because it's a hard and delicate situation to talk about and to address. So when they put the humor in it, it was able to digest that uncomfortable, situation. Yes. And so by doing that, then that's when the Mexican migrants or farm workers joined the Filipinos. And then so as it went on with Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, a lot of people don't know those Filipinos and those Mexicanos together, fighting for the union.
Yeah.
And so my compadre came aboard at a young age, at the age of 16. And the story, I love hearing about all about his life and his history. And he told me that he felt so passionate about the huelga, about his people, about the teatro, that he said he was willing to give up everything at 16 to join the teatro and move on, right, with the movimiento.
Sí.
And the maestro at that time told him, mijo, you really want to help your people? You really want to help the teatro? Stay in school and get your diploma. And so that's what he did. He graduated here locally, went on a little bit more in schooling, but had a really great life, and he was involved in a lot of things. He was involved in movies. He was a talented musician, in indigenous instruments. He had so many great maestros, right? Sí. By the time he got to that age, it was, we met and we just clicked, and then me being involved in teatro took me under his wing, conveying some of the philosophy, the history, just long talks for the last 12, 13 years. Awesome. Music, like I said, philosophy, history, just everything. There's just so much, right?
Yeah,
And so it came time, like we would do presentations in the schools with El Teatro Campesino, indigenous presentations, music presentations, and there came a point in time where it was time to create our own music.
Yes.
And so that's how kind of the book had started out. So normally, because me being a danzante, I was kind of familiar and comfortable with the drum beats and stuff like that. So I would do the drum beats and he would do he would sing the lyrics.
Sí.
But for whatever reason, he ended up making the music, and I ended up finding these lyrics, these poems, these flower poems. So he was really amazing.
Co-creation.
Yes.
It's a co-creation process que tenemos con otra gente, right? Like I say that it is creator that places people in our journey que son nuestros maestros, nuestros jefes, our fellow artists, our fellow activists, our fellow healers, medicine people.
Oh, yes.
It's like cada uno de nosotros, we have this and this and this, right? From everyone that we come across and from our own ancestors, no? Nuestras propias medicinas that have been passed down. And it's a beautiful thing how your maestro, came to your life and has influenced you. Before we talk about the book y cómo llegó la palabra a tu vida, how poetry came to your life, tell me, about, I love to hear the migration journey of the indigenous people of this bronze continent. Cuéntame un poquito de tu familia. Where are you from?
So originally I'm from Arizona. I was born in Phoenix, and then my family is from the Phoenix area, and then further back from Sonora, from Ures, Mexico, and Baja.
Sí.
They migrated into here and then stayed in the, there's a big Yaqui community out in around Phoenix. So we are Yaqui.
Sí.
And so as they would follow the migrant path, picking vegetables, fruits and stuff like that, somehow she met my father down here in California.
Yeah.
And he joined the journey with them. We were born at the same time. From my father's side, they're from my abuela. She's from Reynosa, Mexico, and then my grandfather's from Monterrey.
Sí,
Monterrey, Mexico.
I'm from Nuevo León. Yo vivo cerquita de Monterrey. Yes.
Yeah,
We kind of all intertwined somehow.
Yeah, and so those are still things that I'm still learning about because we don't know each other that well. But as far as like the research and stuff, I've been able to find a ton about them because I know who some of my tios and tias are.
Sí.
It's a strained relationship, but at the same time, I still care enough to know where my roots come from.
Sí.
And so with that being said, the same thing too, we were born in Arizona. We stayed out here in California. My abuela stayed out here. She had followed the migrant track, picking fruit for a number of years. She found the little town of Morgan Hill, and she loved it so much she just stayed.
Le gustó.
Yeah. So,
wow. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So from Phoenix to California, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are beautiful states. The drive from Texas to California.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful.
I've been out into Texas back in the day. Like, so a lot of our family, the Rocha from my grandmother's side, and then Garcia from my father's side, they were all from a little town called Sebastian. So down the bottom by Corpus Christi.
Sí.
So it was a little town, and it had both sides of my family. Back in the day, it was a whole bunch just there.
Wow.
So we've been there back in the day, but not recently.
Yeah, no, Corpitos and those areas,
yes.
The valley and stuff, the beautiful Harlingen, all those areas.
Harlingen, I got family there too.
So tell me about la palabra. ¿Cómo llegó, the written word? How did it come to your life?
So, well, like you brought up earlier, the pain of a warrior, right?
Yes.
Just as I've learned to research, right, through the indigenous philosophy, just trying to soak in what I can. There came a point in my life where I was so strained and so hurt, to feel so alone in a house full of people, in a community full of people, in a world full of people, right? At the same time, questioning. I had already been doing dance. I had already been doing teatro. I had been doing a lot of stuff. But at time, from time to time, we still questioned ourselves and our identity. Who am I? Am I good enough? Do I belong? Yes. Why don't they want to accept me? Right? All of these questions. And then, dealing with separation from my ex-wife at the time. Just heartbroken and feeling completely at the bottom of the barrel.
Sí.
By the time when it really hit me, I had already been doing some research into these traditional flower songs, flor y canto. All right, so I've been studying the book of the ballads of our new lords of Spain, cantares mexicanos. So these are bodies of songs that have been around for a while.
Sí.
I had saw something in it that caught my eye, and with a little bit of research, what I was reading wasn't completely right. All right. And so with my research, I said, there it is. So I kind of unfolded something.
Sí.
And then at the same time as I was doing that, breaking down, and just feeling alone, in short, I thought I was having a heart attack. And so I grabbed my plumas, I grabbed my medicine, my copal, and I walk out to the front of the house and I prepare my offering, and I dropped down to my knees and I cried out to La Madre of all the universe. And in simple, she answered. I asked, she answered, and it's a it's always a give and take, you know.
Yes.
And so, and I do, in my second book, I do write about the experience, because I was actually writing 2 books at one time, because when the ancestors speak, right, when you're asked to be, and there's only so many people we can talk about the cura or the ancestors with, right, because not everyone really truly understands it, right?
Yes.
And so as they were speaking and guiding me, I was actually writing 2 books at one time, and it became too much, so I set one off to the side and concentrated on one, finished it. My second book is done. We're just in the editing process, and I do explain how we got there. But like I said, she answered, and then it was next for me to what do you want from me? And basically, what it came down to was bring our people the truth, bring the people the truth. And so that's what it was. So as I researched these traditional style songs, poems, however you want to say it, there's a lot more to it, to the body and the understanding metaphors and symbolism than we think, right? In my research, Bernardino de Sahagún, who was a known monk priest at the time, right, a little bit after the conquest, he has a 12-volume codice set. And in one of them, he writes a letter to the Vatican saying, we cannot trust these Indios. They are hiding secret stuff in their writing. And he says that it's so complex, it's so flooded with metaphors and symbolism that they cannot understand it, just them alone. And so, and this is already after I had kind of uncovered, you know, we have a thought, we have a feeling, we see, where we interpret it in a different way.
Yes.
And so when I found that, it just kind of just said, the foco turned on, right? And I was like, that's what the madre means, to bring the truth. So in that in itself, to see a poem, a metaphor, is to see it, feel it in a different way. And all I did was just write down my feelings. At times, having daydreams, would write them down. Wake up in the middle of the night, I always had a pen and paper, write it down, right? Reflecting on a certain poem. And at the same time, too, working with our local curandera. I've been, you know, dealing with this pain and suffering. I've been seeing a healer for a number of years. At a point in time, also learning medicina, making tinctures, harvesting herbs, getting to a point in my life where I was able to go with her and do limpias and help do simple limpias and help other people, right, to heal.
Yes.
And so I was doing that. So I've been doing a lot, you know, and then at the same time, understanding that in my time of pain and suffering, that limpia, you know, you have to know when to draw it back, right? Because I don't want to make myself sick or make anyone else sick. So I stopped doing limpias for a while and concentrated more on the writing. You know, our feelings fluctuate, you know, and so it's all about self-care also, you know. And so, like I said, it's a lot, and there's even more that goes into the book, you know.
You're describing, you know, I love these conversations, Manuel, because like you said earlier, it's with specific people you can have these conversations with, but people need to hear and become familiar with spiritual talk.
Yes.
Humanity needs that. And so, para mí, cuando yo vi este título, you know, I've always identified as a guerrera, you know, just my journey as a migrant and, you know, the things that I face as an indigenous woman, a mother. And so you talked about some of the things, you know, the aloneness. Sometimes you do feel very alone or misunderstood. I have also gone through the divorce, through the separation and breakup of family, like a very difficult periods. And to me, as a human and civil rights activist and as an environmentalist, as warriors, we see a lot. Yeah. We carry the weight of people who are hurting, victims of police brutality. Yes. You know, all of these food vendors that are getting physically assaulted, you know, el trabajo que hacemos, it hurts. It hurts our soul sometimes, right? Yeah. And so, but what you described to me very beautifully is the healing journey. Yes. For you, como eres tú, the way that you were created, you know what you need, which is very similar to the process that I do. The healing journey is we have to be alone and we have to be broken. We have to go into silence, ¿verdad? Yeah. Entonces, for me, I remember coming out of it was like, I wasn't praying. I wasn't creating, I wasn't writing, I wasn't doing anything. And I knew that I was like in trouble.
Mhm.
And as a mother, yo siempre me tengo que levantar por mis hijos, right? We
Mhm.
have to as parents. And so I began to speak to Huitzilopochtli. I began to talk to El Colibrí, and
Mhm.
I began to ask for his strength, his valor, his fuerza. And that's when I brought out my hand drum, and that's when I started singing the medicine songs, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
And like you, writing.
Yes.
And when we go through these rebirths, these transformation,
Oh yeah.
we're somos un fuente. We're like a fountain of light. We're a fountain of energy
Mhm.
for others. And that's the
Yes.
beauty of the healing
Yeah.
when you go through it. And los curanderos, the medicine people, they're very valuable.
Yes.
Every pueblo, every generation should have a curandero, a curandera, a medicine person, because we're going to need of each other.
Mhm.
We're going to need of each other's wisdom and things like that, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
And the beauty, we create art.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
You know, art, medicine, however you want to say it. You know, I seen this t-shirt one time and bumper sticker, and it said support your local curandera. And I really and I say that a lot. I really do believe that. And at the same time, as I do refer to my writing as medicine, it was medicine for me. And like you said, sometimes people's they have the similarities, right, and how they in their walk might not be exactly the same, but similarities. And the medicine that can work for me can work for others, you know. And so I do refer to it as medicine, and I try to promote it, quote unquote, like that. At the same time, speaking with students, I've been in a bunch of different situations, right, or job opportunities. I've worked in group homes with kids. I've worked at juvenile correction centers, and at the same time, gently talking about these philosophies and points of healing with the kids, you know. And that's kind of, it's for me, it's like, where can I serve my community the best? Where can I do the most, right? I've been a big brother. I've been, you know, I've donated. I've done so many things, right? And I loved it all have great outcomes, but for me, it's always the maximum healing, the maximum medicine, right? How can I get it? And this is how the book also came to be, right? Speaking with children, speaking with teenagers, right? And then even hearing their story, not feeling like they belong, not feeling like they deserve the history, the philosophy, the culture, and it would break my heart. And at the same time, me feeling that way too, right? It's like, well, what makes me so deserving of certain things? Well, first of all, it's ours. I don't, it's not that I don't deserve it. It's ours to begin with. Now the question becomes, do we want it? That's where the question lies. And that's what I would speak to a lot of our students about, is that it is yours, whether you're ready for it now, later, or in the next life. It's in our sangre. It's part of our heritage, our culture. We shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable about it. But we're taught that way in society, right? Like you don't belong, or it's beneath you. So, you know, for this book, there's a few things when you really read it, it makes you go, like what? I wanted some research aspect behind it. Things that I spoke about with my editor. He said, maybe do we need to like have connections or somewhere for people to go and learn certain things, you know? And I go, it's up to the people. It's just like buying the book or the medicine. It's for who needs it, right? And if you really want to learn, you'll dig into some of the, you know, the little crumbs that I left, you know? So, you know, there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot.
You describe it well, you know, porque cuando yo lo estaba leyendo, when I was reading it outside, you know, with the birds, the trees, the sun, tu experiencia, tu palabra, your journey, I was like, wow. A lot of it resonated, you know, in what you're going through as an indigenous man, as a person who's connected to la madre tierra, porque ella está escrita en todo esto, right?
Oh yeah, and I make sure I let that be known. So people have noticed, like I talk in is it the third person? I always say we, us, because I'm making it clear that this is not just me. It's the ancestors. It's la madre. I always, you know, try to write like that.
Eso, what you just said, you just put it, because I don't know how to explain, our poetry evolves as we
Yes.
evolve, right? And I know that when I got connected to our ancestral medicines, it started changing. So now it's
Yeah.
like I'm having conversations with ancestors. I've always had conversations con la lluvia, con el sol, but
Mhm.
because now and I'm still learning,
Mhm.
reading, researching, talking to maestros, talking to danzantes, talking to other artists. Now, I'm starting to include Nahuatl in my writing. I've always
Yeah.
done both, Spanish, English.
Yeah.
And so it's, I'm glad. I mean, like, it's the way that you describe it. Cuando escribimos, sometimes the artist, the poet will sit down con una idea or they were whatever,
Yes.
right? And it just takes its own shape.
Mhm.
And I'm recognizing, I understand that now, that it's the ancestors, que es
Mhm.
la naturaleza,
Mhm.
that it's, it's the elements. They want to be heard of. They want to be
Yes.
listened to. They want to teach us.
All,
And
all of
so,
the
yes,
above. They want to be taught. They want to be heard. At the same time, they want the offering. They want the openness. It's that give and flow of energy. That's what the world is. That's what we are. That's what the people are. You know, um, what in these writings, like you said, well, you made a good comment about sitting down and thinking. Like I said, a lot of these are inspired by the traditional songs. So as I read the song, I try to do as much research into it as I can, the time period, the region, who the composer is if I can. And what I try to do is put myself firsthand there. So
sí,
some poems, you can tell it's about the introduction of La Conquista. And there's some that are older than that, so it has no real reference to the introduction and or religion. So they're just researching these older songs, and it's inspired by. For me, it was really important because we look at this body of writing, and then, with all due respect to writers, right? They have that Western influence, that European influence. For me myself, I have no formal training in that style of poetry, nor do I know a bunch of poets like that. So what I'm
right.
learning is straight from the interpretation of our people in the Spanish, and then figuring it out on my own, and at the same time noticing certain patterns,
Sí,
rhythms in the writing, and I'm really thankful for my editor. He's really well versed in Shakespeare and in English, right? English major, and so I'm able to compare and ask questions to my great and good friend Robert Ellison. So I've always appreciated him and being able to compare and respecting his thought also, and
sí,
shedding new light on my thoughts. But yeah, there's just so
sí.
much. Like I said, I'm still
Sí.
figuring it
Me,
out.
me gusta mucho esta plática. I really
Yeah,
I
thank you.
enjoy our plática. We are down to the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Before you close out with the otro poema, another poem, let us know how can we support you? How can people go and support your work? And what current projects are you working on right now?
So right now, my book is only being offered on Amazon, and I understand because there are issues with certain gente with Amazon too. But so my editor, we've been speaking about opening up a little website where you can order the book directly from me, so that there's no issues.
Yes.
So like I said, I'm still learning a lot of these things, right?
This
People,
is not on eBay?
no, no. Like I said,
No?
I'm still trying to figure out. All this is new to me. This book was
Sí.
originally just meant for the community. It was never supposed to go further than that. Then I won the award.
I
People were
know.
messaging me. Everyone started to. So
Sí.
I'm just trying to figure it out. But I would love to open up something where they can get it directly from me, so that there's no
Okay.
issue with anybody.
Muy bien.
And the next project, I do have another book. I just finished my second book. I will share it with you. I haven't shared the title yet, but the next book is called The Death of a Warrior. Just making sure the picture went off. So it's called The Death of a Warrior, and it will be coming out next year, sometime in January or February. I'm not sure if you're still there, Tonantzin. I don't see your screen, but I'm just gonna keep talking to the end, and then yeah, it will be available, and then I'm sure that we can reconnect again also, and have another online chat.
Manuel,
Hey,
I am so
it's
sorry,
fine.
Manuel.
I just kept talking.
No. My screen here. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Bueno, we have like 2 minutes left.
No worries. So
Y
the next
comparte
project,
una palabra con nosotros.
so yes, I would love to share what's called the epilogue, and it's called "If We Forget Our Ancestors, We Forget Ourselves." As I follow the path of the copal smoke into the universe, I silently ask the ancestors to be with me in my heart. Through this prayer and journey and research, I see a common concern among the indigenous ancestors. How can our people endure the pain and suffering of the moment? How can we remain in existence throughout time? A new poet has now responded by playing the bird rattle, invoking the ancestors with ceremony and offerings. Do not be so concerned about procedure when acknowledging the ancestors and our origins. There is no wrong way if it is done with love and respect. I am not an independent entity. There is no I or me. There is only us and we. We are the manifestation, the embodiment of our ancestors. We belong to a bigger circle. If we forget our ancestors, we forget ourselves. By removing envy, dishonesty, ignorance, and arrogance, we can live a happy life. Acknowledging the indigenous ancestors, here we offer our poems. May these poems help you endure the pain and suffering of the moment. May the memory and spirit of our ancestors remain in existence throughout time, letting their medicine heal our people, letting their medicine heal all people.
Eso, Tlazocamati, hermano. Gracias por tu
you.
palabra.
Thank you, my pleasure.
For the work that you do, it's so needed and so valuable. And yes. Gracias. And I want to thank Creator. I want to thank the great spirit that unites us como gente.
Hey.
And we'll be in touch. No, un fuerte abrazo, and keep it going.
Yes, and like I said, I would love to come back and we can finish off this explanation furthermore if you like.
Sí, claro. Gracias, Manuel. Have a wonderful day.
Órale. Oh, you got it. Hey.
Ándale.